Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. So, it is official. The Indiana Fever have signed Myisha Hines-Allen. And I'm going to say this as clearly as possible right from the start. This is not a terrible signing. It's just not. I don't care how loud the noise gets. I don't care how many people try to spin this negatively. This is not a terrible signing. Now, I already know what people are going to say. She was awful in Dallas. She couldn't shoot. She looked completely washed. And look, I'm not even going to sit here and pretend that last season with the Dallas Wings was good. It wasn't. It was bad. Statistically, visually, all of it. It was a rough year. But here's the thing that a lot of people are missing. One bad season does not erase an entire career. This is a player who, over the course of her career, has been productive, efficient, and impactful. You're talking about someone who has hovered around mid-30% shooting from deep, and then suddenly dropped to the mid-20s last season. That's not who she is. That's an outlier. That's a slump. That's a bad situation meeting bad form at the wrong time. And we've seen this before. Players go to the wrong system, the wrong fit, the wrong role, and everything falls apart. Then they move, reset, and suddenly look like themselves again. It happens all the time in the WNBA. And honestly, a big reason people are so negative about the signing, it's fan perception. It's narrative. A lot of the loud criticism is coming from fans of the Wings who just didn't enjoy watching her play last season. And that's fair from their perspective, but it doesn't mean she's a bad player overall. Context matters. Because here's what people are also ignoring. Myisha Hines-Allen is not being brought to Indiana to be a max contract star. That version of her, the one Dallas paid, that's not what this is. If the Fever were signing her expecting her to be a franchise cornerstone, then yeah, we'd be having a very different conversation. But that's not reality. This is about role. This is about fit. This is about depth. And when you actually look at her in the right role, things start to make a lot more sense. Let's rewind a bit. 2 years ago, she was coming off the bench for one of the best teams in the league, the Washington Mystics. Not only that, she was effective. She brought energy, physicality, and versatility. She was someone who could change the pace of a game the moment she stepped on the floor. This isn't some random player who had one lucky stretch. She's been a starter. She's been a contributor on playoff teams. She's had big moments. She even dropped 21 points and grabbed 8 rebounds in a playoff game against the New York Liberty in 2023. That's not ancient history. That's not 5-6 years ago. That's recent. And yes, she's 30. Not 29, 30. But let's be real here. That's not old in today's game, especially for a player who hasn't had any major injury concerns. She's still physically strong, still mobile, still capable. And that physicality, that's where things get really interesting for Indiana. Because this team has a clear identity forming around Caitlin Clark and Aaliyah Boston. Skill, spacing, playmaking. But what they've needed is toughness. Edge. Someone who's not afraid to do the dirty work. That's exactly what Hines-Allen brings. She's listed at 6'1", but she plays way bigger than that. She's built like a tank. She's one of the strongest players in the league, and she uses that strength on both ends of the floor. She sets hard screens, she battles in the paint, she doesn't get pushed around. And let's talk about something that doesn't always show up in the stat sheet. Presence. When you have someone like Hines-Allen on the floor, opposing teams think twice. They think twice about driving, they think twice about taking cheap shots, they think twice about getting too comfortable. And for a player like Caitlin Clark, who's going to be the focal point of defenses and physical attention, that matters a lot. Now, offensively, she's not coming in to be a primary creator, and that's actually a good thing, because when she's asked to do too much, handle the ball, create her own shot, carry offensive load, that's when things can fall apart. That's what we saw in Dallas. But when she's playing within a system, making quick decisions, moving the ball, spotting up, cutting, that's where she thrives. She's actually a very underrated passer for a big. Even last season, in limited minutes, she averaged around 3 assists per game. If you stretch that out to starter minutes, you're looking at elite passing numbers for a forward/center type player. That fits beautifully alongside players like Boston, who can operate in the post, and Clark, who commands so much defensive attention on the perimeter. And let's not forget about the current roster situation. You've got players like Monique Billings holding down starting roles, and while she's solid, the Fever aren't exactly swimming in cap space to go out and get elite-level replacements at every position. So what do? You find value. You find players who can outperform their contract. You find players who can fill roles without needing the ball in their hands 20 times a game. And that's exactly what this move is. Because let's be honest, if you're comparing realistic options still available at this stage of free agency, this is about as good as it gets. You're not suddenly landing a superstar. You're not pulling a miracle signing out of nowhere. This is about maximizing what's left. And compared to alternatives like bringing back depth pieces or relying on unproven players, Hines-Allen gives you something tangible: experience, strength, versatility. She can guard multiple positions, she can play small ball center, she can come off the bench and give you 15, 20 solid minutes. That's valuable. And yeah, if this signing happened at the very start of free agency, people might have been disappointed. Expectations were higher, bigger names were floating around. But context changes things. Based on how things have played out, this is a solid move. Not a home run, not a franchise-altering decision, but a good, smart, practical signing. And sometimes that's exactly what a team needs. Because building a roster isn't just about stars, it's about pieces that fit together. It's about balance. It's about having players who understand their role and execute it. And if Myisha Hines-Allen comes in, embraces that role, plays to her strengths, and leaves last season behind, then this could quietly end up being one of the better under-the-radar moves the Indiana Fever make this year. So yeah, say what you want, criticize it if you want, but calling this a terrible signing, that just doesn't hold up. Anyway, let me know what you guys think. Do you like the move? Do you hate it? Do you think it fits with this roster? Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll catch you all in the next one.
Hines-Allen shaking her head like, it's hard to stop me when I turn that corner going to the basket.
Hines-Allen, yes! Hines-Allen count the bucket and the foul.
To the second side for the sweet, smooth reversal. Myisha Hines-Allen coming right into your living room.
Here's Hines-Allen, count the basket! Oh, Myisha's got a mismatch, takes advantage of it, found it!